So thank you very much for coming for today's Bhagavatam class. So today we'll start with the 35th verse of the 7th chapter. But before we begin, I want to express my sincere gratitude to all of you for coming every week for these classes. Honestly, there's so much gratitude I feel because in Kali Yuga, devotees being interested to hear Srimad Bhagavatam is very, very hope-giving for devotees who are preaching. So you're sincerely coming with your Bhagavatam copy, sitting in the class. It's very inspiring. And I want to especially thank Rajan Padia Prabhu and Nita Mataji for organizing the venue every time. And also when I see Madan Mohan Prabhu, I feel very protected. I've always told you that. Because when I was very new Bhakta, I used to go to his restaurant, Hindu Mata, and take prasad. And he used to take care of the guests in our temple, and I used to get the guests. Just like an older brother, he's been very, very loving and kind. So, and very protective. I remember once I gave a festival class many years ago in 2011, and he liked it very much. And the way he came and appreciated me was very, very unique, which I'll never forget. You know, after the class, devotees thank and they appreciate. But I don't know if you remember, he appreciated me profusely. And then he said, Prabhu, I really pray and wish that you're always protected, you're always safe, and you always continue to serve like this. So that was an appreciation filled with blessing. It was not simply, maja aa gaya, manoranjan ho gaya. So that is actually a Vaishnava who always feels protective and caring for others who make them happy. Outside world, when you are pleased, then when you're not a devotee, it's all entertainment, sense gratification. You gave me enjoyment, I'm happy. Maja aa gaya, paisa vasool. Devotees don't think like that. When devotees become happy because of some other devotee, profuse blessings come out of their heart. So that's what Madan Mohan. Whenever I see him, I remember that incident. So thank you, Prabhu, and thank you everyone for coming. So today we'll continue with the 35th verse of the 7th chapter. Now all of you know the background, right? What has happened so far? Anybody in 1 minute can explain in your own words. We are never looking for exact words here. You know that. We are looking for personalized prayers, personalized understanding. Anything. What is the essence? Where are we at? What juncture are we in our Bhagavatam class? Kya situation mein hum log hain? Who will say?
Ashwatthama has released.
Yes, Ashwatthama has released Brahmastra.
And Arjuna does not know what to do.
Arjuna does not know what to do.
So he prays to the Lord.
He prays to Lord.
And then he wants a solution.
He wants a solution. And then?
Krishna.
Then what happened? We discussed after that also.
Yes.
He offered prayers, and then after he offered prayers, then what happened?
Krishna smiled.
Krishna smiled, and then what happened? And he smiled more.
And you know what to start.
No, Krishna gave solution. We discussed last time. I think I should repeat the same class now. Krishna smiled and he gave a solution, and Arjuna, he counteracted the Brahmastra with this Brahmastra, and he neutralized. And then what he did?
Now we are going to see what Arjuna is going to do with Ashwatthama.
So then what they do? They chase Ashwatthama, they capture him, and they bring him to Draupadi because he had promised. They catch him, they catch Ashwatthama. And now after catching Ashwatthama, what happens? That is the question. Right? So we discussed that how Arjuna, the eyes were angry, and his eyes were copper. Krishna's eyes were like lotus. And he arrested Ashwatthama, bound him like an animal. Like an animal is bound, he was bound. And then he was brought in front of Krishna and now Draupadi, because he had promised Draupadi. Now, 35th verse, which we are starting now, till the end of the chapter, which is 23 verses, is all about arguments regarding killing of Ashwatthama. Yeah, we have 2 chairs here. So should Ashwatthama be killed or not killed? This is all regarding, this is the theme of this rest of the chapter. All of you please remember, killing Ashwatthama or not killing Ashwatthama. This is a very important section because this reveals the subtle science of Bhagavatam, how Bhagavatam talks about the subtle nuances of relationships, dealing, conflicts, contradictions, confusions. You have seen, no? Sometimes devotees say contradictory things, how to resolve all of this. This is a chapter for that. If we hear attentively, we will be able to navigate through confusions and contradictions in our own lives, because the inner compass of ours will be aligned properly. So the first 5 verses, 35 to 39, which we are going to read today, are the 5 verses where Krishna's stand on violence or not violence will be revealed. Killing Ashwatthama or not killing Ashwatthama, everybody is going to give different opinion. Let us hear Krishna's opinion on Ashwatthama. Should Ashwatthama be killed or not killed? Should there be violence or no violence? So I'll tell you right away what is Krishna's stand. Krishna supports Hare Krishna. Echo. What can be done? You have to adjust the sound system. I'll continue, but slow chal raha hai. So Krishna supports killing of Ashwatthama at this juncture. Later on, in our next class, we will read how, although Krishna is supporting killing, he actually doesn't want Ashwatthama to be killed. So that's all very, very complicated. We'll discuss later. It's very beautiful. It's not complicated. It's very sweet. But at this juncture, in these 5 verses, Krishna wants Ashwatthama to be killed. So we will chant and we will read the translations today. One of you will have to read. Last time was Prabhuji's, no? One of the Matajis will have to read who has access to Bhagavatam. Anyone? You will read Mataji loudly. Okay, text number 35. So please remember, we are discussing should Ashwatthama be killed or not killed. He has been arrested, bound. He is now in front of Draupadi. Let us see Krishna's verdict. Text number 35. Mainam partarasi tratum Brahma bandham imam jahi Yosab anagasah suptan Avadhi nishi balakan.
Lord Shri Krishna said, O Arjun, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahmana, Brahmabandhu, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleep.
So Krishna gives 5 reasons in 5 verses why Arjuna should kill Ashwatthama. The first reason is given here, and that is Ashwatthama is Brahma Bandhu. Brahma Bandhu means friend of Brahmana. Bandhu means friend. Friend of Brahmana है, इसलिए उसको मारो. आप बोलोगे ये क्या है? Friend of अच्छा word है ना, Brahma Bandhu. Actually, it is a bad word. Somebody is born as Brahman, but his behavior is very, very bad. He is called Brahma Bandhu. See, that is the beauty of Vedic culture. गाली भी बहुत अच्छे शब्दों में देते हैं. In a Sanskrit language में, see, it is like what it means, no? Brahma Bandhu means जो Brahman है, but is not qualified as Brahman, and he is doing wrong activity. तो उसको low class बोलने से अच्छा ब्राह्मण है तो low class भी नहीं बोलेंगे, पर ब्राह्मण भी नहीं है तो बोलेंगे ब्राह्मण का फ्रेंड है. Brahma Bandhu, that is the sweet Sanskrit language. Brahma Bandhu, like when we were young, I used to watch cricket. So our comment, I used to be very amused because we as young people watching cricket, we used to suddenly get emotional or impulsive, or we would pass comments, a stupid shot, stupid player, paisa kha raha hai, all those. हम लोग spontaneously ऐसा बोलते थे. But commentators would always be very gracious. If somebody played a very bad shot, they would say, that is not one of the best shots he has played. मतलब बहुत ही stupid shot खेला, out हो गया. Oh, that is not, और या bowling बहुत बेकार किया, बोलेंगे, that is not one of the best bowling spells. बेसिकली बोलना चाहते हैं कि वो बेकार बॉलिंग. एक कल्चर होता है, सभ्यता होता है, लैंग्वेज. सो इन अ कल्चर्ड सोसाइटी दे स्पीक. लैंग्वेज एक्चुअली रिवील्स योर कल्चर, हाउ यू, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ पीपल यू आर. सो संस्कृत में ब्रह्म बंधु मतलब एक्चुअली लो क्लास, अ फ्रेंड ऑफ ब्राह्मण. And Srila Prabhupada, in the purport, he gives the example of High Court judge and his son. देखो High Court judge है अगर, can his son also become a High Court judge because he is born to a judge? He has to be qualified. So Prabhupada says, you may be Brahmana, your wife may be Brahmana, you are both Brahmanas, and your child is born. That doesn't mean he's also Brahmana unless he's qualified. He has the qualities of Satyam, Shaucham, Kshama, Daya. He has truthfulness, cleanliness, forgiveness, compassion. These सब qualities अगर नहीं है, if he's not studying scriptures, then he's not a Brahman. So like that, this is the first reason he gives Krishna, that he is Brahmana by birth, but he's actually Brahma Bandhu. He's acting like completely non-Brahmanical. What is the non-Brahmanical activity he has done? He has killed 5 innocent boys in their sleep. First of all, they're innocent children and they are sleeping. And you are killing them. So this is the first reason why Krishna says Ashwatthama should be killed. What is the first reason? Brahma Bandhu, yes, because Ashwatthama is a Brahma Bandhu, he's a low-class Brahman. That is the first reason. He's not a Brahman. Because कोई बोल सकता है ना कि वो ब्राह्मण है, उसको कैसे मारना है? That is the first reason. Second reason is revealed in the next verse. So please repeat text number 36. Mattam pramattam unmattam suptam balam striyam jadam prapannam viratam bhitam naripum hanti dharma ved.
Person who knows the principles of religion does not kill an enemy who is careless, intoxicated, insane, asleep, afraid, or devoid of his charity. Nor does he kill a boy, a woman, a foolish creature, or a surrendered soul.
So basically, what is the second reason? Ashwatthama had violated the codes of war. These are the codes of war. What are the codes of war? That you should not kill an enemy who is mattam, pramattam, unmattam. Matlab careless, intoxicated, insane. And you should not kill a person who is suptam, who is sleeping, balam, child, striyam, a woman, jadam, one who is dull, prapannam, one who is surrendered, usko nahi marna chahiye. Virattam, matlab jisne rath chhod diya, one who has left his chariot. And bhitam, one who is afraid, you should not kill him. Naripum, and one who is So such an enemy you should not kill. Hanti dharma vid. So if an enemy is careless, intoxicated, insane, asleep, afraid, all these qualities, then you should not kill that person. And he has killed that. He has killed an innocent boys. So he has violated the codes of war. This is the second reason. So in Vedic culture, even in war, there were codes. You can't just go and randomly kill. Only when the Mughal invasions happened, systematically from 13th, 14th century onwards, war became very bad. Earlier, war would be in an open place, a ground mein hota tha. And the winner would kill the enemy, and then that's it. But the Mughals changed the whole game plan. They would attack at night, or they would come to the cities, they would rape women, and all those things started happening. The whole game plan changed. They would break temples. So all those things change the whole war game. But in Vedic culture, even in a war, like if you see Jarasandha and Pandavas, when they met, when Bhima, Arjuna and Krishna went to confront Jarasandha, they would they would have a nice get together in the evening, and morning again they would, after sunrise, they would have their fighting to kill. But after the sunset, they would sit together and have nice hospitality. It's interesting, but that's the way it was. So it wasn't. There was proper culture. Even in the Bhagavatam, we find Varahadev is fighting Hiranyaksha. So Varahadev has this Gada, and Hiranyaksha is also fighting. So in that fight, suddenly Varahadev's mace falls. So Hiranyaksha waits. He allows the Lord to pick up his weapon. But when these Muslim invaders started coming in the 14th, 15th century, and they started being very ruthless. So with such people, now you have to follow Krishna's strategy of Mahabharata. You can't follow Lord Ram's ideal standards. You have to be shrewd. It's not some tennis match going on. Uska racket gir gaya, usko racket de diya. So many Rajput kings, when they would fight this Mlechas and Yavanas, and when if the enemy soldiers were weak, or if the king lost his sword, then they would give him a sword. Some of the Rajput kings are glorified for, अरे उसका sword गिर गया तो उसको अपना sword दे दिया. अरे कोई टेनिस मैच है क्या? वो उसको मारेंगे नहीं तो वो जाके आगे बहुत, you will do a lot of damage. Yes. He also told Indra to pick up the weapon. Right? Yes. But at the same time, we should know that in Vedic culture, war also there were codes of war. And Ashwatthama had broken the codes, so he had to be killed. That is the whole idea. Like if you see Indian army, they follow these codes of war. Like during Kargil war, those of you are aware, 1999, March, April, May, there was a war. So if you see, there were many Pakistani soldiers. They had been killed by the Indian army, but Pakistan didn't want to accept that it was their soldiers, because then they would be technically considered as having lost the war, and also they would be considered as an aggressor. So they said there were some rebels, some local people, Pashtuns, and all of them. They just attacked. We have nothing to do with them. But those soldiers are Pakistani soldiers, and their wives and family members were wanting these dead bodies of their loved ones. And Indian government, after killing these soldiers, wanted to get the dead bodies back to the Pakistan government, Pakistan army, and the Pakistan army denied that they are soldiers, so they will not take them. Meanwhile, the family members are upset with the Pakistani army and government. So now the government is rejecting you. You have fought for them. Disowning them. So then Indian government, Indian army, performed their last rites in the proper burial. They had a proper coffin arranged, and then they had Maulvis from Delhi fly in a helicopter and perform all the final rites. And they were not just buried like that, random, buried with military honors, because ultimately they are simply soldiers. Unke against kuch nahi hai. They are representing an ideology which we are fighting. That is the honor that is a dignity in which Indian army fights wars as compared to the PLA and Pakistan army. Even China is extremely ruthless, worse than Pakistan. So both of them, they are very, very hostile neighbors and very horrible, barbaric. But there is a culture. See, this is how actually Ram's army was and Ravana's army was. If you read Ramayana, whenever Ram's soldiers died in the war against Ravana, the Vanaras would die, Lord Ram would perform with honors the final rites. When Ravana would lose his Rakshasas, he would dump their bodies in the ocean. So that his idea was that the enemy should not see our dead bodies, then they will get more confidence. So we'll throw the bodies away so that nobody knows and they don't see our dead bodies. But Ram was, so this is the difference between Indian army and our unfriendly neighbors' army. Means people are not simply resources. They have fought for you. They should be honored. In fact, the Indian army sent recommendations to the Pakistan army that these soldiers that fought very bravely from your side, they deserve your, what we have, Paramveer Chakra and all that, Ashok Chakra. So they have their equivalent honors and awards. So they wrote a recommendation to the Pakistani government that you should give those awards to these soldiers. ये लोग ने अच्छे से fighting किया bravely. So it is very strange. It appears strange, but there is. See, the idea is if the enemy camp is cornered and they have nothing to eat and they are dying of thirst. So the Rajput kings and the earlier Vedic kings, they would ensure that they get supply of food and water. And then in the battle, we'll kill them. We'll not starve them to death. So it's a concept which is very bewildering to many of us. I can see how can this be? Because we think war matlab all's fair in love and war. That's what we think, but it's not like that. It wasn't like that till there were cultured people. So then things changed. And Ravana's psychology was to disown his army people. And he had to pay a heavy price for it. What happened, when Lakshman was injured and Hanuman was sent to get Sanjeevani. So the whole process of Sanjeevani was that Sanjeevani had to be put on the nostrils of Lakshman. It was so fragrant that wherever it went in the air, it revived the life of everyone who had died. So what Lord Ram had done, he had kept all the dead soldiers there of his army, the Vanaras, whereas Ravana had dumped away all his soldiers. So the fragrance reached the nostrils of all the dead Vanara soldiers also, and so they also came back to life. But Ravana didn't. If Ravana had kept his soldiers, they would also got the benefit. So this is what happens. So if you don't take care of your people, if you think they are simply resources and tools, then this is what happens. So here, Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that he's violated the codes of war. So you can't treat him fairly. You can't be like nice with him. He has killed sleeping sons. So now you should kill him because you arrested him. So you understand. Now you can't say that he's surrendering. Krishna's logic is very good, actually. When we are fighting war nowadays, we should have Krishna. When we invited the Honorable Prime Minister Modi for Janmashtami festival in one of our ISKCON temples. So he gave a very nice speech. He said, "Hum bhi Krishna ke bhakt, aap bhi Krishna ke bhakt. You are also devotees of Krishna. I am also devotee of Krishna. But the difference is you love Vrindavan Krishna and I love Kurukshetra Krishna." So, we didn't have the opportunity to tell him, but we want to tell him that we love both Vrindavan Krishna and Kurukshetra Krishna. It's not that we love only Vrindavan. I think Ahmedabad, when he was the CM of Gujarat, he came for Janmashtami. I always say, अगर दुश्मन समझाने से समझ जाता तो बांसुरी बजाने वाला कभी महाभारत युद्ध नहीं होने देता. So ऐसा नहीं है. Some people बातों के भूत बातों से नहीं मानते. So then you have to have a code. We need war. We need violence, not unrestricted blind violence. But the idea is we need to know when to show compassion and when to show justice. It's an art. And in Vedic culture, there was this science. It's not that you blindly kill anyone and everyone. At the same time, it doesn't mean that you are non-violent. It is we go in extremes. Somebody is sincerely seeking forgiveness, then we need to show compassion. But if somebody is like this, who is violating the codes of war and is a Brahma Bandhu, 2 reasons understand. There are 5 reasons given. First reason is a Brahma Bandhu, low-class Brahmana. Second is violating the codes of war, so he deserves to be killed. Now, third reason is interesting. Krishna tells Arjuna why he should be killed. This is verse number 37. Please repeat. Swaprāṇānyah para prāṇī prapuṣnāt agranah khala tadvadastasya hi shreyo yaddoshat yati adha puman.
A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise, he will go down by his own actions.
So basically, the third reason Krishna gives is Ashwatthama is cruel and wretched, and society will get benefit if he is killed, and he will also get benefit if he is killed. Means if he continues to live, he will do more of such activity. That means we are allowing the cancer to spread. So we have to ensure that this cancer doesn't spread. So it is better he is killed. See, therefore, in the Vedic culture, death sentence for a murderer is needed. If there is no death sentence, then he will be encouraged to kill more. And And then the people he kills, they will also, I mean, their relatives or whoever is affected, attached to them, they will also kill. So overall, there will be more murder in the society. So Srila Prabhupada would quote the scriptures, Samhitas, to explain slaughterhouse. Why would speak against slaughterhouse? He would say those who, the scriptures say that those who sell meat, those who cook meat, those who kill the animals, those who distribute, those who serve and those who eat, those who give permission, they all get reactions. So when we similarly, when a murderer, when he is punished for his act, then we are preventing these different people getting reaction. All the affected parties getting reaction like that. If you read the purport, how it begins, you read first few sentences. I'll tell you when to stop. A life for life.
A life for a life is just punishment for a person who cruelly and shamelessly lives at the cost of another's life. Political morality is to punish a person by a death sentence in order to save a cruel person from going to hell. That a murderer is condemned to a death sentence by the state is good for the culprit because in his next life he will not have to suffer for his act of murder. Such a death sentence for the murderer is the lowest possible punishment offered to him.
Okay. So basically, when a murderer is punished, then he will not get, it's like he's getting a reaction for his murder. Otherwise, he has to again go through that reaction in the next life. It's not that he'll, so it's basically a just king is justified in giving a death sentence. One of our presidents, I think Pratibha Patil, when she was the president of India, she forgave. The president has this choice of forgiving the last, he gets the last application. She, mercy petition, she forgave so many hardcore criminals who were sentenced to death by the Supreme Court. So she became very unpopular because of that. Some 30-35 people said, chhod diya. Wrong understanding of Gandhian principles. Sometimes this is what happens. So 3 reasons Krishna gives. Huh?
You get the reaction.
She will also get, or they will also get. For 3 reasons. What is the first reason? Brahma Bandhu means low class Brahman. Second, he violated the codes of God. Third, is cruel and wretched, and it is good for him also and good for everyone also. 4th reason is interesting. Please repeat 4th reason, verse number 38. Na? Pratishrutam cha bhavata Panchale shrinvato mama Aharishya shirastasya Yaste manini putraha.
Furthermore, I have personally heard you promise Draupadi that you would bring forth the head of the pillar of her sons.
So 4th reason is you have promised Draupadi, so fulfill your promise. Very simple reason. 5th reason, verse number 39. Tadaso vadyatam papa atatai atma bandhuha Bhartuscha vipriyam vira Kritavan kulapamsana.
This man is an assassin and murderer of your own family members. Not only that, but he has also dissatisfied his master. He is but the burnt remnants of his family. Kill him immediately.
Kill him immediately. Krishna is saying, kill him immediately. So basically, here the argument is his master also did not order. Basically, he's a murderer. So he's a murderer, so kill him. Simple logic. So the 5 reasons are: first is his Brahma Bandhu, low class Brahman. Second is he's violated the codes of God. Third is he's wretched and it is good for him if he's killed. 4th is promised Draupadi. And 5th is he's a murderer. when we read all this, somebody may say, how can you argue? How can you say that, Krishna is advising to kill? Whole Bhagavad Gita, sometimes, people, there are some political leaders who wanted to promote how Bhagavad Gita is a book of non-violence. So they say, Kurukshetra is actually the heart. Pandavas are 5 senses. Kauravas are hundreds of desires. They give different allegory and analogy, which is very attractive. When you give analogies, it sounds very appealing. And that way we try to cover up, saying that violence nahi hona chahiye. That is not correct. That is a misrepresentation. We should have non-violence, definitely. But Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is convincing Arjuna to fight the war. So Srila Prabhupada approved of violence when needed. Like one guru, Srila Prabhupada met, he was with his disciples. And that guru was a promoter of non-violence. Very famous pastor. Srila Prabhupada openly challenged him. If non-violence is bogus, so then there was a lady disciple of that guru also, where people are sitting. So Prabhupada said, what if somebody misbehaves with your lady disciple? Will you be practicing non-violence? And immediately said, yes, non-violence. So that lady disciple looked at him with shock. And then Srila Prabhupada laughed. And they all devotees laughed. And then Prabhupada said, no, you're not supposed to be just non-violent. You are supposed to take action. You have to fight. That is why Nirbhaya rape case is a disgrace, actually. To all men. In the sense, it's a disgrace to the Indian culture, actually. If you don't hang such people, and the fear, the punishment is needed, actually. It's horrible. In fact, when I heard about that, it was worse than what Ravana. It's worse than Ravana consciousness. So therefore, violence is needed to counter such kind of horrible activities. You can't say, nahi, non-violence. Unko pyar se samjhao. Aisa sab thodi hota hai. That is why Gandhi had many good qualities. Gandhi, but he has been what we say sometimes, we go to extremes. See, everybody has good and bad. So I like Gandhi's many aspects of Gandhi. Mohandas Gandhi, the father of the nation. Because I used to go to Manimbavan so many times. Because I used to study economics. I was very fond of Gandhian economics and Gandhi's concept of village economy. But he had this side also, where his inordinate emphasis on non-violence was disastrous for Indian political history. So that's very, very unfortunate because there are documented letters Gandhi writing to the Jews in Germany and Europe that please allow Hitler to do what he wants and just surrender, because that way you will melt the heart of the enemy and you will usher in a new era. He wrote a letter to the Hindus saying that let the Muslims destroy you because by this you will usher in a new era, new dawn will arise. So that was very horrible. In fact, there's a whole documented story of Valmiki Basti in Delhi where riots happened and Hindus were slaughtered. So Hindus also reacted. So it was a very horrible incident. So Gandhi went there for peace. So he went to the temple, the main temple in Valmiki Basti where Hindus, that entire colony was destroyed by the rioters. So Gandhi had the audacity to go there in the middle of that colony. This is documented in 1947 after independence, 1948 riots. He sat there in that temple and he started reading Quran, started reading Namaz and Quran from there. So all the people came and they challenged him. They shouted at him that how can you do this? And he said, no, you can't stop me. This is my right. I will read. So therefore, why don't you, for the one lady challenged him. She said, why don't you go to the Muslim area and read from the Gita there? So he said, no, this is my right. This is what I will do. The people protested and the police came. And the police arrested 150 people from that village. This is all documented, that Basti, that area. And the newspaper headlines was Gandhi performs non-violent peace march. But the kind of pain that he caused by his extreme understanding of non-violence, people don't quote that. So there are many letters like that to Hindus, to the Jews. In fact, why Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of Britain, we don't have any love for Mr. Churchill, but he would call Gandhi as a crazy fakir. He was not honoring him as the world peace leader like we honor him now. Churchill would say that, hasn't that fakir died yet? He would be very, because he wrote a letter to the British government that you should allow Hitler to invade England. So it was crazy actually. See, non-violence is very good for personal life. Like in your personal life, if you practice non-violence, it makes sense. You have some values in. But you can't bring that to the political level. You can't use it for national policies to protect the country. Like during Kargil war, I remember one of the Sunday Bhagavatam classes, one devotee asked Maharaj, the Indian army is fighting and there's a war going on. What is our stand? Should we promote non-violence? Should we promote chanting? What should we do at this time? Srila Prabhupada said, you are able to chant because our soldiers are fighting in the border. If they don't fight, then you'll not be able to chant. So we have to defend, and we have to support the violence of the army's action. This is common sense. This is not something, we're not talking about some big, it's not big philosophy. This is simple common sense. For national issues, border issues, international issues, violence is needed. But Gandhi imposed his personal value at national level, which was a disaster. Although he had many good qualities. What he would do, he would do fasting. You know that? Fasting is a very good thing. I have got a lot of health benefits from fasting. But he would go fasting unto death, to use it as a tool to manipulate people and get things the way he wanted. Like if, what happened, like in one of the Congress Working Committee elections, I think Bose won the election. He is supposed to be the president of Congress party, but Gandhi wanted Nehru to be the. So he would go fasting unto death. I'm fasting. So then, fasting. Emotional blackmail. But Gandhi was smart. When Jinnah said, I want another country called Pakistan for Muslims, he didn't go fasting unto death. He could have said, no, I'll fast unto death. Jinnah should withdraw. He knew Jinnah will not withdraw. Jinnah will say, tu mar ja, chalega. Jinnah is not going to say, Arey, Gandhi is fasting to death, so I will not give up my desire for Pakistan. So Gandhi knew Jinnah will not do that. That's why Gandhi did not go for fasting unto death. When Jinnah, he could have done that. Na? Arey, Pakistan mang raha, main fasting. So this was very, very cheap politics. Now we glorify him because of itna saal ho gaya and his intention was good. He wanted to liberate India. That's okay. But if you were a citizen of India at that time, you would go crazy. That's why one man got crazy and he killed him. Because he pagal ho gaya, uska dimag satak gaya. He was not a terrorist. He was a murderer. The man who killed Gandhi was not a terrorist. He was a murderer, and he got the reaction for it. But the point is, Gandhi was understanding of non-violence was very bad. Like the whole biggest disaster that happened was I don't know if you know about in history, there is a day called Direct Action Day. Jinnah, when he wanted Pakistan, everybody said, no, India is one country. So Jinnah said, if you don't give us Pakistan, we'll have Direct Action Day. What is that meaning? August 1946, हमको सिखाते ही नहीं history में. Direct action means we will take action. On that day, August 1946, they started destroying all Hindu colonies, Calcutta riots, Bihar, Noakhali, massive killing. So then the Congress party came under so much pressure, then they agreed for partition. So he got, that is why in Pakistan they said, after they got Pakistan, there were morchas all over Pakistan shouting with great joy that हंस के लिया Pakistan, लड़के लेंगे Hindustan. That is very famous. That now we got Pakistan so easily, now we will fight and take Hindustan also. But that whole ideology of violence, you can't counter it with very fluffy, mushy talks of non-violence and stuff. The left liberals, that their whole ecosystem is about emotional. Because these talks about non-violence are very poetic and romantic. Aman ki asha. ये सब सुन के बहुत अच्छा लगता है. And when you give logic, they will give emotional, poetic answers. So it's very, very unfortunate. And especially with those whose fundamental ideology is violence. Krishna's stand is very clear here. 5 reasons bataya, maro. So we can't just the problem is a Brahmana. Ashwatthama is a Brahmana. But is acting like Rakshasa. See, when terrorists attacked, Ajmal, Kasab and all of them attacked, and they were killed. So they came in terrorist clothes. In the sense they came with gun. They had, they were like not. But imagine if a terrorist, if he comes and kills innocent people, and then the police will kill him, that violence is good. But how much violence is justified if a terrorist comes in the dress of a policeman and then starts killing people? That is worse, no? Because he is destroying the faith. When you come in the dress of a policeman and then kill people, you are supposed to protect them. Similarly, you're a Brahmana means you are supposed to practice non-violence. You're supposed to be loving, forgiving, kind. So you are a Brahmana and you claim to be a Brahmana and then you are killing innocent children. So you deserve to be ruthlessly killed. That is what Krishna's stand is. Because you are doing something very, very heinous. So Srila Prabhupada, but of course at the same time we need to know that there are some situations where you can't do anything. So in such situations, only chanting, you just have to, ideally, we should chant and we should also fight in a war. Like we have one devotee who is in the border in Kashmir. He joins Anandanand's morning japa session every day. So he has his, and there is a rule in that japa group every day morning, 5:30. Everybody's screen should be on. Video should be on. Zoom call. More than 150 to 300 people. They come for morning chanting. 4 hours they chant. Everybody's video is on. He's the only one who's allowed not to keep the video on because he has gun on one hand and he has bead bag on the other and he is in a uniform. So people will get bewildered. And his superior has allowed him every day morning for this time. And as soon as the japa period is over, he keeps the bead bag aside, continues to hold the gun. तो वो देख के लोग बिल्डर हो जाएंगे, इसके लिए उसको परमिशन दिया है कि ठीक है बाबा तुम वीडियो ऑफ रखो तुम्हारा. So, but at the same time, we know that there are situations when you can't do anything. So in such situations, when you are helpless, then okay, non-violence. That's because you have no choice. But ideally, Krishna told Arjuna in the Gita, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yuddhacha. मेरा स्मरण भी करो और युद्ध भी करो. फाइटिंग करना है, भगवान को भी याद करना. पर कभी-कभी फाइटिंग नहीं कर पाते तो केवल भगवान को याद करना. Like Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture at Calcutta Pandal. Thousands of people were sitting and Naxalites started attacking. They started throwing chairs, started shouting. So devotees got scared. Abhi kuch hoga. Violence बढ़ रहा था because devotees tried to unsettle them and then they started getting violent on devotees. So it became a little chaotic there. And Prabhupada was sitting on the Vyasa and he's seeing this. He immediately picked up kartals and loudly started shouting, chanting. Chintamani prayers, the Burma Samhita prayers. Chintamani prakarasat. Loudly chanted. Suddenly everybody sat down. Even those Naxalites who were attacking violent, this is sad. So pure devotee can do that. By chanting, he can create non-violence and he can, bring peace. But that doesn't mean you just imitate that. One has to, when Draupadi also, when she was called to the Dushasana, the royal assembly, what is the first reaction? She remembered Krishna. It's not that she did not remember Krishna. She remembered Krishna and she also argued with Bhishma, Drona, everyone. So she was remembering Krishna, she was fighting for her honor. She was remembering Krishna, fighting for her honor. But at that time came when she realized, now I can't do anything. And that's when she raised her hand and helplessly called out to Krishna. So we need to know when to struggle and when to completely surrender. We can't mix. Struggle means we should remember Krishna and fight. Surrender means no fighting, only pura de chhod diya Krishna ke upar. So artificially we cannot do like that. Like when you're driving a car and the car gets spoiled, car stops. So then what do? You call the mechanic and you also pray to Krishna. Krishna, help. Please help. And then you're also praying and you're also trying to sort the situation. But if you're on a plane and the pilot announces, ladies and gentlemen, the engine has failed and the plane is going to crash, mayday, mayday. Now the plane is going to crash. Then what will you do? Which mechanic will you call? Surrender. So initially when Draupadi was told to come to the royal assembly, she was sitting in a car. And then at the one point of time, she realized, "Abhi to car nahi hai, to plane hai." Plane crash ho raha hai. Abhi kuch nahi kar sakte. So that's how we treat violence. We have to fight and surrender both. But we should know when we can fight, we should fight and do what we can. Like Srila Prabhupada was in Indore, Gita Sammelan, and Gita Sammelan program. And every day, what they would do, this Gita Sammelan organizers were also very smart. Prabhupada's class, they would keep in the end. Because people had come to watch these foreigners. And Prabhupada was also smart. Instead of giving boring Gita lecture, he would call his foreigner disciples on the stage, and he would do kirtan and they would dance, and people would get entertained also. And preaching bhi ho raha tha. So the organizers were very happy. The last day, the main program, they kept Prabhupada's class late, and Prabhupada started kirtan and his foreign disciples. So some of the Matajis were on the stage, and he taught, and we have a classic Swami step dance, right leg in front of left leg, and then left leg in front of, very gracious dance. So the lady disciples and the male disciples on the left side, ladies were on his right, and Prabhupada was chanting, leading the kirtan, standing on the stage. And the kirtan became ecstatic. Mridang, Kartal, kirtan was going on. But as it happens in many Indian gatherings, there were very low-class, cheap men who saw this, foreigner, white-skinned American women dancing on the stage in saris. So they jumped on the stage and they started dancing in the kirtan, but they started dancing with very vulgar pelvic gyrations, and they started coming too close to the Matajis. And they tried to flirt, and one of them was trying to get too close, and Prabhupada was doing kirtan, and Prabhupada saw, and he's leading kirtan, and suddenly at one point of time, he saw, and like a protective father, he just pulled his kartal, turned it, and whacked that man who was getting too close to his lady disciple. So that fellow was shocked. A 78-year-old sannyasi, बूढ़ा बाबा नहीं है ये fighter बाबा है. फाट करके मारा तो ऐसा उसको लगा. Then he jumped down. As soon as he jumped down, उसके जो 2-3 साथी थे, they didn't expect this sannyasi would do like this, and they immediately went away. And then immediately Prabhupada continued the kirtan as if nothing has happened. So he was a protective father. So devotees are not sissies. They are not having wrong understanding of non-violence. जहाँ पे जरूरत है उधर तो करना पड़ेगा. Like during morning walk once, Prabhupada was with one Mayavadi. Mayavadis are Krishna Paradi. They just blaspheme Krishna. So this Mayavadi was saying many nasty things about Krishna. And in Bhakti Yoga, for us, Krishna, we love Krishna. So if somebody offends somebody you love, you get angry. So Prabhupada told him at one point of time, stop. You're offending. And he's saying, Swamiji, why are you getting angry? वो बहुत cool था. Prabhupada said, if I criticize your wife or somebody you love, will you be quiet? Krishna we love. Krishna is our Lord. So you can't just offend him like that and say that just be quiet. Then he said, no, Swamiji should not get angry. Swami should be peaceful. So Prabhupada said, so Prabhupada had 2 disciples. 2 of his disciples were Brahmananda and Gargamuni. Brahmananda and Gargamuni were 6.5 foot tall, very big size, and very strong. And Prabhupada had sent them to Pakistan and Bangladesh to preach in 1971 war. So Prabhupada looked at that Mayavadi and said, you see, this Brahmananda and Gargamuni, they are my disciples. If you offend Krishna, then I have these 2 big men. They will teach you a lesson you will never forget. If I order them, they will show you what they can do with you. He saw both of them and he kept quiet. So Prabhupada had to do that. So like that. So there are 5. So what we have discussed today are 5 strong reasons which Krishna gives to Arjuna to kill Ashwatthama. But the reality is interesting. The reality is Krishna doesn't want Arjuna to kill Ashwatthama. ऐसे कैसे? क्यों? क्या है? That we will discuss next time. But today, in this context, what has happened? One thing is very clear that Srimad Bhagavatam is revealing subtle sides. It's Srimad Bhagavatam, if you study consistently now, we will realize life is not black and white. It's not that there is complete non-violence, like Parikshit Maharaj, we will read in 18th chapter, 17th chapter later on. He is confronting Kali. He is ready to kill. So we have to learn the subtler nuances. So therefore, coming for Bhagavatam classes is extremely important, and studying Bhagavatam at home is extremely important because we will become mature. Otherwise, we will have very wrong idea of religion. In fact, Lord Shiva tells Mother Parvati, who knows Bhagavatam? He says, Aham vedmi shuko veti, vyasa veti na veti va, bhaktya bhagavatam grayam, na buddhaya na chatikaya. Very interesting verse. He says, I know Bhagavatam. Aham vedmi shuko veti. Shukdev Goswami also knows Bhagavatam. Vyasa veti na veti va. Vyasdev शायद पता है उनको भागवतम, शायद उनको नहीं पता है. Why? Bhaktya Bhagavatam Grayam. Only a devotee can know Bhagavatam, Lord Shiva says. Na buddhaya, na chatikaya. By your intellectual speculation and by reading commentaries, you cannot know. So I know what question you are having in your mind right now. How can Lord Shiva say that Vyasdev may know or may not know? हो सकता है मालूम है उनको, ऐसा कैसे वो बोल सकते हैं? Why we are surprised? Because Vyasdev is the author of Bhagavatam. How can he not know? So when Lord Shiva is saying, Aham medmi shuko veti, I know, ठीक है, we know that, we accept that. Shukdev Goswami, yes, you know. Vyasa veti na veti va. The reason for that is, Vyasdev is sometimes considered as incarnation of God. So if you consider him as incarnation of God, he doesn't know Bhagavatam. But he is also known as devotee. But if you consider him as devotee of Krishna, then he knows Bhagavatam. Because Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna. Krishna cannot know Krishna. That is why he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radharani, Krishna did not know how much my devotee loves me. इतना मेरे से प्यार करते हैं मेरे devotee. So Krishna got bewildered, no? Shyam Sundar doesn't know Shyam Sundar. That's why he comes as Gaur Sundar. So devotee knows Krishna, and that is what Krishna is overwhelmed. So if we consider Vyasdeva as devotee, then Lord Shiva says, then he knows. Otherwise, Krishna doesn't know himself. So the point we are saying is, even Vyasdev, he understood Bhagavatam only when Narad Muni came. Devotee's intervention is what helps us understand, and Narad Muni came and told his personal story. We read that, right? 5th chapter and 6th chapter. Iske pehle 2 chapters. So in every tradition, we need grace. We need devotees. It comes, in our tradition, it comes through devotees. Therefore, when we are reading Bhagavatam, we always read Prabhupada's purports of Bhagavatam. We come for Bhagavatam classes. We hear, on YouTube from different devotees, like Amarendra Prabhu and, our Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, Amok Lila Prabhu. So, बहुत सारे devotees. Why we hear Bhagavatam classes of devotees? Because we connect with Krishna. See, you may read Bhagavatam on your own with your intellectual speculation. You will not understand as much as you will when you connect through a devotee. Like, let us say there are 10 ingredients. Cook a feast. You make a feast. 10 ingredients, and same ingredients next day is presented to an expert cook. With the same ingredients, what he will do? And he will say, वही ingredients था, इसने अलग बना दिया. So similarly, वही भागवतम में वही श्लोका है, मैं अपना दिमाग लगा के पढ़ूंगा, मेरे को समझ में नहीं आता है. वही भागवतम, वही वर्सेस को एक्सपर्ट कुक, एक्सपर्ट डिवोटी जब बोलता है, I experience this, I go to Nasik very often for preaching. So I don't eat fried sweets. बहुत सारा मेरा restrictions there. I follow certain protocol. There are diet rules. So there, I told this devotee, मेरे को बस खिचड़ी दे दो बस. तो वो एक माता जी, पूर्ण शक्ति माता जी, she makes moong dal and khichdi. No, not even vegetable. Then what we think, अरे खिचड़ी मतलब खिचड़ी, even खिचड़ी if you have to give, we will make it very grand with a lot of vegetables. और उसमें फ्राइड कॉलीफ्लावर डाल के उसको, है ना, वो क्या बोलते हैं, नींबू दही पापड़ अचार, खिचड़ी के ये 4 यार. तो खिचड़ी इज इनकम्प्लीट विदाउट नींबू पापड़ दही अचार, ये सब रहता है. तो बट आई सेड, मेरे को सिर्फ सिंपल खिचड़ी चाहिए. बट दैट माता जी, मेनी लॉन्ग टाइम बैक व्हेन आई हैड गॉन, शी मेड सिंपली मूंग दाल का खिचड़ी, नो वेजिटेबल, नथिंग. but it was so intoxicating tasting, So every time I go, I ask only for that, moong dal khichdi. And I was thinking, मैंने भी खिचड़ी बनाया. If I had to make, the only ingredients is moong dal and khichdi, rice. कैसे हो सकता है? नमक, of course, और थोड़ा सा घी. I can't do that. But she's an expert cook. She's able to get that taste. Similarly, same Bhagavatam, same shloka. I am reading. I'm trying to understand Ashwatthama ka kya section hai, kya violence hai. But when we read Prabhupada's purport, we understand that violence is needed. Oh, uske liye benefit hai. Acha, these are the 5 reasons Krishna gives. Okay, then we understand. Therefore, we should not, we should read from devotees, Bhagavad, or we should hear from devotees. And then we should also use our brains. Then it becomes reflection. Otherwise, hearing from devotees also becomes ritual. Shravanam can become a dry ritual. Chalo, mera ho gaya aaj ka quota. Sun liya. Shravanam ke baad mananam hona chahiye. If you do only mananam, then it will become speculation. Apna hi speculation. If you do only Shravanam, wo riti rivaj ho jayega. Ritual. Shravanam, then mananam. Dono, like I was in Nasik. So I went on Friday morning. So Friday morning, Bhagavatam class was going on here. I was in the train. So I reached Nasik, took breakfast. And then at 10 o'clock when I was alone, then I played, thankfully, mercifully, because of YouTube, I played the class. It was by Satyanand Prabhu. I heard the whole class. Then after hearing the class, it could have been any ritual like every day. But I heard the class, then I have a small notebook which I carry. What I liked from the class, what I relished, usko ek chota sa paragraph mein likh diya. And next day, during morning Bhagavatam class in temple, I was in a program in Nasik. So I came back, I heard the class. It was Rasik Raman Prabhu's class. So now, then made points. Then Sunday, I was giving a class when Bhagavatam class was going on, Shamanand Prabhu's class. Then evening, when I was traveling back, I heard the class on YouTube. So then Monday morning, yesterday, I met all the 3 of them. And I told them what I liked. And they were happy. And then we discussed something. So kitna acha energy was created simply by hearing class. And when I told Shamanand Prabhu today morning, "Arey aapko wo class bola pan acha tha, ye acha tha," aisa. Then Shamanand Prabhu laughed something, he said something. And all devotees, we see when we share what we like, and then usme se kuch points nikalta hai. So this is the culture, and especially from devotees we need to hear. See, Krishna, Bhagavatam is Krishna. We are connecting with Krishna when we are reading. Krishna will guide us. That is true. That is why when we chant Hare Krishna, it is Krishna. We are chanting, we will get benefit. But Bhagavatam is different. Although Bhagavatam is also Krishna only, it is not simply reading shloka and translation. We are reading through devotees like Prabhupada's purports, because see, devotees go through challenges in this world. And we are also living in this world. We also go through challenges. So when we read or hear from devotees who face crisis and suffering in this world, then when we hear from Bhagavatam from them, then we get pura churn kiya hua makhan milta hai. So see, there is crisis facing everybody in there. Like, His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj, he is one of my favorites. Like I always read and hear from him. He is one of the ISKCON gurus, leaders. He came to ISKCON in 1970. So Maharaj made very beautiful class once. He said he came to ISKCON not because of, like many of us come because of, I want a good job. I know many boys, they come with that desire, yahan pe kuch connection, networking ho jayega, job mil jayega, ya kisi ka dil toot gaya, all those kind of, and girls, many young girls come to temple, they'll come with a lot of enthusiasm because they're looking for a good alliance, good marriage. ऐसा भी होता है, सबको psychology अलग-अलग needs रहता है. So people come with different motivations, but they're coming to Krishna. But Sachinandan Maharaj, he didn't come to Krishna consciousness because of some, social need or ऐसा एक community के साथ जुड़ जाएंगे. No, he came looking for spiritual experience. And he's so honest, amazing, that's why I love him so much. And he said after 20 years of chanting Hare Krishna, 25 years of doing bhakti, he came to a crisis. He said, what he had thought 25 years ago, that after 25 years of chanting, I will be reaching this level of purity. He said, I did not reach there. So I started feeling, क्या हो रहा है? मैं क्या-क्या सोचा था 25 साल पहले, और अभी क्या हो रहा है? 25 साल में कुछ हुआ ही नहीं. What is happening? So he said that is a crisis because I had not 2 choices. It was a turning point. Either I give up Krishna consciousness and go for some other spiritual practice, or ask myself that, rediscover now. Have I overlooked something? Have I ignored something in Krishna consciousness? हो सकता है ना कुछ मैंने इग्नोर किया, कुछ अच्छे से नहीं किया. So what to do? So Maharaj said, I chose to rediscover. I read the same Prabhupada books again. Slowly, carefully, I decided to become a scientist. So then I started reading Prabhupada's books. तो उसमें से मुझे एक स्टेटमेंट जैसे प्रॉपर लिखते हैं, chanting, when you are chanting Hare Krishna, you are carrying Krishna in your heart. अभी this simple sentence है, just repeat after me. When you are chanting Hare Krishna, you are carrying Krishna in your heart. So when you are chanting Hare Krishna, you are carrying Krishna in your heart. तो ये हम लोग ऐसे casually पढ़ते हैं. So Maharaj said, now because I decided to become a scientist, when I was reading this sentence, this came as a shock. This came to me in a different way. So now when I started to rediscover the path, I realized that chanting is what is my shelter. And then he said, since then, my life has changed. Now I chant all the time. I speak about chanting, and I spend 1 month in a year since seclusion, whole month, whole day and night only chanting. Every year he spends 1 month only chanting. So then Mara's realization is, crisis means a point in life where the medical terminology, crisis is when you are at a point where either you die or you become healthy. So Maharaj says, don't be afraid of crisis. If you're in a crisis, don't die. You can be healthy. How? Rediscover, re-explore the same process which you have been practicing for so long. So when we read or hear from devotees who have spent decades in the movement, studying Bhagavatam, chanting, serving devotees, then we are connecting to those who have gone through crisis, and they have now re-examining those things which we are right now overlooking and ignoring. So therefore, it is very, very important to read Bhagavatam in the association of devotees. So next week we will continue our discussion. I'll stop here right now. Hare Krishna. Any comments? It's 8:35. We just have 2 minutes to, or any final comment? Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Okay.
One of the religious principle does not kill an enemy who is careless.
Careless, I am not able to right now elaborate on it. Careless here in this context is, see, these are some of the things given. These are the reasons why you should not kill a person. कोई careless है, कोई irresponsible है, कोई ऐसा पागल है, कोई सोया हुआ है. उसमें से एक चीज दिया careless. This is not referring to a person who is consciously, you can't go around with a gun and kill people saying that he was careless. That's not the criteria. Here, careless refers to somebody who is dull-headed or not responsible. The reference here is not about, somebody may say that, oh, why you killed him, he was careless. Krishna says you should not kill careless people. Here, the reference is not that careless person who carries around a gun and kills innocent people, saying that, oh, he was careless. No, that carelessness is not referred here. Here it is referred to the simple carelessness we know. Anything else? Anybody else to say?
In Mahabharata also, I think they earlier used to fight. They used to say, now be careful, I'm going to shoot that. They used to tell the subjects every time.
Yeah.
And also used to make them careful. Or I'm going to shoot off this.
Yeah, true.
And Arjuna also told Krishna that Karan is now down on the floor. How can we?
Yeah, correct. Only after Abhimanyu was killed, 13th day, Then Krishna took charge. Krishna started doing all this. The way of killing of Jayadratha is very interesting. One day we will discuss that. I gave one Janmashtami class only on that 14-day of war, that 5-hour class only on what all happened that day, how Krishna made Arjuna kill Jayadratha. ऐसा दिमाग लगाया, ऐसा strategy बनाया. So Mahabharata is an amazing storehouse. It's very exciting. Okay, thank you very much for your kind attention. We'll meet again next week. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.